Welcome to Frogman Aneurysm. My name is Sonny. This is a true story of how an ordinary night at a restaurant turned into a long hospital stay of 10 days, a fight for my life after a thoracic aortic aneurysm, something doctors sometimes call the widowmaker. What happened during those days, the surgery, the incredible medical team that kept me alive, and the strange hallucinations as I slowly woke up, is something I will never forget. It was a Saturday night. I was sitting in a restaurant with my wife. Normal night. We were just getting ready to order food and drinks when I felt a pain in my back, a sharp pain, severe enough that I asked my wife to rub it. I remember thinking, well, maybe it's just a cramp, something minor, something that would pass. Well, guess what? It didn't. The next somewhat clear memory that I have is Tuesday morning, almost 3 days later. I was lying in a hospital bed. 2 tubes were still connected to me, IVs in both arms. 3 days gone, from Saturday around 7 p.m., to Tuesday morning, erased. Later, I learned what happened. I had suffered a thoracic aortic aneurysm, what some people call the widowmaker. Survival rates can be around 20%. Not good odds, but here I was. I was on the operating table from about 8 p.m. Saturday until 6 a.m. Sunday morning. Roughly 10 hours. During that time, I received 8 units of blood transfusions. My body was cooled to the maximum level doctors allow, a protective measure to preserve the brain and the organs when oxygen is limited. I was kept alive by machines. I mean that literally. Machines were breathing for me. They were circulating my body, doing the work that my body could not do. Sometime on Monday, the decision was made that it was finally safe to sew me back together. Today, there is a 12-inch scar running down the center of my chest, a permanent reminder of that night. After they closed me up, I was moved to another ICU. During the first week, as I slowly began to surface, I started learning what had happened. Teams of doctors were constantly coming in and out of my room. Specialists, surgeons, residents, nurses, and, of course, visitors. My family. I almost felt like I was a celebrity. Hey, let's check him. Look at this. Watch how he's responding. I remember thinking, wow, they're studying me like I am some kind of medical anomaly. But underneath that thought was something deeper. Gratitude, deep gratitude for these people who had fought for my life. They had refused to let me go. By Tuesday morning, most of the tubes were gone. My wife later told me she had counted at least 11 tubes going into me while I was in the operating room on the table. 11. They had been keeping me alive. 3 times during the night, my family was updated while I was in surgery. First, the head surgeon came out and told them he would do everything he could. Later, a nurse came out and she told them it was very bad. It did not look good. The third time, finally, came the news. I had made it through surgery, but the doctors did not know who would wake up. They didn't know what kind of brain function I would have. They didn't know what kind of person would emerge from that operating room table. So they moved me to a new room, a new ICU, which had one-on-one nursing care. My chest was still open, but it was covered by a clear, sterile film. My family was allowed to come in and see me 2 at a time, which is kind of amazing. I don't remember any of it. Not their faces, not their voices, not the fear, not the prayers, nothing. While my body was in the operating room and that first ICU, my mind was somewhere else entirely. I had the most vivid imaginations, hallucinations, I guess you would call them. Dreams that at that time were completely real. In one of them, I was in a massive room. There were people everywhere sitting at computers, typing, constantly, watching screens, watching me. Excuse me. Above them, wrapping around the top of the walls, was a moving marquee, like a ticker tape, circling the entire room. And on that marquee was a profile of God, moving slowly around the perimeter. Then suddenly, it changed. The devil's image took over the marquee. The room panicked. People were typing frantically. I was moved into a side room. I remember pleading with someone. I'm not bad. I don't deserve this. Why is this happening to me? They kept typing. And then suddenly someone shouted, I got it. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. The devil's image disappeared. God's image returned to the marquee. And in that moment, I believed that I had helped solve the problem. The crisis was over, and they had won. I was going to be okay. Another detail I remember so clearly, there was a machine in that room that fascinated me. It looked like something... It looked like an X-ray machine, I guess, but it was made entirely of wood, and it had dials and gauges on it, impressed into the wood. It seemed impossibly advanced, and it worked so fast, and it was movable. Even in hallucination, I was amazed that something made of wood could be that sophisticated. The last place I stayed for the next 6 days was another ICU with other patients, and I believe that is when I truly wake up. The first thing I remember while there is that my daughter was standing over me, and the first thing I said to her was, "What the heck?" Even after waking, though, the visions did not completely stop. For the first couple of days in recovery, while the operating drugs were slowly leaving my system, my mind had its own version of reality. There were bugs everywhere, different kinds of ants, stink bugs, crawling on the walls, crawling across the furniture, on people, sometimes snakes too. I could almost summon them if I wanted to. Like my brain had discovered a strange new channel and decided to leave it on. There were so many bugs at times that it actually made me laugh. Now, I knew they weren't real, and I understood they were hallucinations, but they were absolutely real in my field of vision. And then there were the plants. People would walk into the room, doctors, nurses, family, anyone, and I'd see green grass growing on them. It's like they were part lawn and part human. Nothing ugly, just there was plants growing on them. I told them everything I was seeing, everyone that came there. The doctors, the nurses, my family. I didn't care what they thought. I was just being honest. This was happening in my reality. Looking back now, I'm sure it was the trauma, the cooling of my body, the massive blood loss, the medications, the fact that my body had been physically unable to keep myself alive without machines. My brain was rebooting. None of it was scary. Honestly, it was almost amusing. I remember telling one doctor that he had bugs crawling all over his face. It didn't even faze him. That tells you something about the ICU doctors. They've seen it all. Okay. 8 units of blood, 3 days in the operating room and ICU with no recollection. My body cooled to its limits. My chest left open. Machines breathing for me. Machines circulating my blood. Machines keeping me alive. Doctors unsure who or what would emerge when I woke up. Teams rotating constantly, doing their best and doing their jobs at the highest level. Specialists, surgeons, ICU nurses, my family watching, waiting, hoping, and then waking up. From asking my wife to rub my back on Saturday night, to opening my eyes on Tuesday and saying, "What the heck? What the heck?" I am here because the medical team would not quit. Surgeons, nurses, ICU staff, specialists, people who trained for years for moments exactly like this. I cannot express my gratitude enough. They saved my life, and I do not say that lightly. When people call this the Widowmaker, they are not exaggerating. Many don't make it. I did. When you survive something like that, it changes you. It changes how you see time. It changes how you see control. It changes how you see gratitude. It changes everything. It shows how fragile an ordinary Saturday night really is. Life can pivot in sections, in seconds. One moment you're in a restaurant. The next, machines are keeping you alive and your family is standing in a waiting room hoping you come back. I came back. I don't take that lightly. That's why I'm here. That's why this story is being told. If you take anything from this episode, take this also. You are not invincible. No matter how strong you think you are, no matter how busy, no matter how successful, take care of yourself. Let other people help you. Don't be so stubborn. Get your checkups. Talk to a doctor. Talk to a nurse. Ask questions. Pay attention to your body. You are the only one who can make that call. And sometimes that call is the difference between a normal Saturday night and everything changing. This is my first podcast. I'm certainly not a professional. I think I might make another one about recovery, actually. So stay tuned and thank you for listening. Take care. Goodbye.